Okay, good evening and welcome to this Motzei Shabbos edition of Just Daf It. Today we're doing Kesubos Kufches 108. We'll be finishing Kesubos this week, hopefully. Should be very exciting. The Durham is going to be amazing. I'm telling you, short dafim. We're going to have a lot of fun in Maseches and Durham. 5-minute pre-shear parties. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. You're not going to want to miss it. Let's get started. The bottom of Kuf Zayin Beis. The Mishnah, we're talking about, again, this husband, he's not present, he's not around, he went to the Bahamas. His wife is seeking mazonos. We talked about in the previous Mishnah whether she has the right to collect, take a shvuah. Now, she has a friend, maybe a potential suitor, if the husband were to die. He's willing to pay her grocery bills. He pays the grocery bills. Then the husband comes back. He collect money because he's really paying what the husband owed to pay for her grocery bills. Khan said he can't collect his money, he lost the money. The Chum say, no, he's entitled to the money, pay off someone else's debt. You can take a shvuah and you can collect from the husband. Amar Rabbi Dozov and Harkin is Kedivrayim. Dozov and Harkin is passing like the Rabbanan. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Zaka, Yaf Amar Chana, and Chanan said something really good over here. It's like leaving money on the horns of a deer. Deers run pretty fast. So if you leave your money there, it's probably not going to stay next to you very much longer. It'll probably go run away. So you lost your money. Interesting analogy. The Gemara says, not Hossam. We learned in a Mishnah, someone can't get benefit from his friend. Either he personally said, I don't want to get benefit from Reuven, or Reuven said, you're not getting any benefit from me. Learn at Dharma, people, you can take a vengeance on people with the Dharma. This is a new way from people to take revenge on people, assuming that you hold revenge is okay. Not a violation of the Kama. I'll talk more about that one day. I was watching this Fridays. I found something to show my kids. The Marvelous Mitos Machine is on YouTube. They have all 4 episodes. They do it with puppets or something like that. So I never really saw this growing up. My wife was very familiar with Marvelous Mitos Machine. It's basically the answer to Uncle Moishi's mitzvah tapes, mitzvah men. Mitos. Maybe Rodenberg came up with this Marvelous Mitos Machine. One of the things they talk about is you can't take revenge against someone. You can't even up the score, as he says. And I know it's to this or in the Torah. It's also for me the right to take revenge against somebody, but in practical real life, I mean, if you don't take revenge against somebody, you can mavater, like they say in the Muslims form, mavater. Just forgive the guy. Let it go. You are going to get nowhere in life. There has to be some sort of getting even, or evening up the score that is fair. Ask Donald Trump about it. He said, in one of his questions they asked him, he says, you don't believe in the Bible, an eye for an eye. He takes it literally, an eye for an eye. So the Torah says eye for an eye. So he's quoting the Bible, the Old Testament. So there has to be some form of vengeance permitted in the Torah. We'll have to talk about it at a different time. Shokol shiklo, shokol shiklo. So you can't get enough from him. So now you want to do a favor. You felt bad. You asked for the guy getting enough from you. So one of the chiyuvim we have to pay off every year. You'll learn Masech Shkolim. You have to pay a machzah shekel and the base image around for your part in the korbanos hatzibur, the public korbanos, korban tamid, twice a day. So he owes machzah shekel. You can pay it for him also. Poreas chovo. You can pay off his debt. If he lost something, you can return it to him. In a place where you can charge a fee for returning someone's lost object, so then the money becomes hektish because it's holy money. Because asr b'hana, it's like hektish almost. So therefore, you have to give the money to hektish, the base on migas, make it a donation because you can't. The money is asr to go to the person. You can't pay him. So therefore, you have to put the money in hektish. So the Gemara says, "Bishlam shogol shiklo mitzvah kavod," right? You're not doing a favor for the guy. You're not giving him hana, right? We'll talk about this more in Masechus Nedarim. When someone answers, you can't get hana, you can't get benefit from a person. It's usually talking about either a physical benefit or a financial benefit. But when someone does a mitzvah for you, that's not a benefit because we're going to learn Masechus Nedarim. Mitzvahs lav lahanas. The mitzvahs we've learned also in Masechus Rosh Hashanah that when you do a mitzvah, you're not doing it for the hana, for physical or financial benefit. You're doing it to just Mekayim because the mitzvahs hamelach. Hashem wants to do it. That's why you're doing it. So he's not getting hana from that. This nan, what's proof of this? Torment al avid al gaboy al asid ligbos matzir al asid ligbos. Mishnah in Mesachas Shkalim says that when they took out the truma on Echa ben Nisan to pay for the new karbonos, they took off not just for people already deposited their money in Trumas Alishka, if money that was being transported from someone's house to the Beis Hamikdash was lost, or it was collected but hadn't yet reached the Beis Hamikdash, or some point delayed in giving the Matzah shekel, they count, they're part of it already. Meaning basically it's a mitzvah. The mitzvah, yes, everyone has a chelik to give a Matzah shekel, but it's a mitzvah of the tzibur. The Talmud is a korban of the tzibur, and even if they didn't pay their fair share yet, the whole idea is that it's a mitzvah hasibur, so therefore they're included. The whole point of this brayso is to show that it's a mitzvah, and therefore, even if you financially didn't give to it, you're still part of the mitzvah because finances are not necessarily connected to mitzvah. So now mitzvah, you return a lost object to him, right? You're doing a mitzvah. A mitzvah of Heshiva is avedasi after Meshiv Aveda. So it's a mitzvah you're doing. Again, mitzvah's lav lahanos. He's not deriving benefit from it, not you and not him. When you pay off his loan, right? He owed someone else money, a third party money, and you pay off his loan, you pay off his college debt. So you're doing a favor for Kamashtarshila. You're financially benefiting the guy. You're saving him from lost money. How could you do that? Amar Rav Oshai Hamani Chanahi. Rav Oshai answers this Mishnah Mesachas Sadarim follows the opinion of our Mishnah of Hanan. The Amar Ibid Esma Osav, right? When you go and pay off someone's chov, right? You pay off the wife's grocery bills, and her husband is abroad, and he's responsible. So you can't go to the husband and claim your money. So therefore, you lost your money. So when I pay back someone's chov, right? I can't go. It's not worth anything because I can't go to the person, the creditor, and say, "Pay me back. I paid this guy's chov." You lost your money, so you're not financially benefiting him. The Rav Amaro gives a different answer. Amar Afilu Tema Rabbanan. You can even say this is a Rabbanan. Hacham Ma'askinan Shalova Amanashalo Lifroa. We're talking about a unique loan over here. Kesubos was talking about where he gave him, leeway. He said, "I'm giving you this money. Pay me back when you can, if you can." He wasn't expecting to be paid back. He said, "If you can pay me back, pay me back. If not, not." So. So therefore, when I'm paying off his chol, I'm not benefiting him because he didn't have to technically pay it back himself. Similar to Rav gives an answer like Rav Shaya, Demukim Lalak Rabbanan. He wants to establish the halacha like the Rabbanan. And Chanan's a yachid against the Rabbim in the Mishnah. Elul Rav Shaya, Mikol Mako. My time alone, Rava. Why didn't he say like Rava? Right? Say like the Chaman. Amar Rav Shaya, Nida no Leisley. You can't give Rava's answer. When you pay back a loan that's considered to be, doesn't have to necessarily pay it back, even though he doesn't get financial hana back. However, top of Kufchet Amad Beis, Kisufa Milaisle, Asam Nami Isle Hana, Bahi Hana, the Mixif Mine. Right? Person who gets a loan and say, pay me back whenever you want, even though, right, financially you're not losing anything, you don't necessarily have to pay him back. However, you're embarrassed that the guy gave you a favor, did a favor for you, you're always going to be embarrassed. You get a present from somebody, you're embarrassed, you get a favor for him. That's the whole point of Gemilas Chasad, and the payback favor, so you shouldn't be indebted to other people. So now, when you paid off his loan, so therefore he's embarrassed to you, right? You saved him from embarrassment to the other person, the creditor, the person who lent him the money, but now he's embarrassed of you. When he's embarrassed of you, so that hana, he's getting hana. You're getting hana from. I'm sorry. You're right. Hashanami islay hana bahi hana the mitzvah minay. The hana that he's getting benefit, that he's being saved from the embarrassment. Right. He's being saved from the embarrassment. Normally he would, even though, like I said, he doesn't have to pay back the loan, but he's embarrassed that the guy lent him the money. So you're saving him from that embarrassment. That's also considered a hana that he's getting from you, and that's a problem. Mishnah says Adam and Omer Shiva. He said 7 things. That's how our parak started. Chanan said 2 things arguing on the Chamim, and a person named Admon, who was one of the big Dayanim in the time the early AD period. He said 7 things. Mishnah Meis Ve'niach Bon Mubonos. He died. He left children. Some of them were boys, some of them are girls. When he's a wealthy guy, Habanim Yorshim. The Banim inherit the entire estate, the entire property. in the entire bank account. But bonus Suzonos, the girls, they have to be fed. They're sustained from the inheritance the boys paid out for the girls. If he's a very poor father, dies very little money, Habanos Yizonu, the little amount there is, uses to feed the girls. The sons who have no inheritance, they have to beg for food. They go knocking on doors to beg for food. Am Omer, because I'm a boy, I lost out. You can't say this. Amar Gamliel Roani as Admon says, I like what Admon is saying. Come on, power to the men. So the Gemara says, Mike Omar, what was Admon saying? Amar Abai, Hachik Omar. This is what he's saying. Mishra Shani Zaka V'Roy Lasa B'Torah Sati. You're gonna take away from me? So my father was poor. I have to go learn Torah. I should get the Yerusha. The daughters, they should be going from door to door. I'm like, Rava, Man Dasa B'Torah the Yaris, Man Dasa B'Torah the Yaris. What do you mean? If you learn Torah, so then you should get Yerusha because I'm learning Torah, should I get Yerusha? No, anyone gets Yerusha. Even if you don't learn Torah, you get the Yerusha anyway. It doesn't make sense to say for everybody. Right. Normally, boys inherit their father. So because I am roy for Yerusha, normally on normal circumstances, there's a big enough estate, I would get the Yerusha. So now my father was very poor, so I lose the Yerusha. That's Amon Sarah. We don't pass it like Admon. Mishnah says, "Toin es chavero kadei shemen v'hod bekankanim." You go to the store, you buy olive oil. Now, usually olive oil comes in these beautiful plastic bottles. Now, it could be in the time of the Mishnah. They're talking about glass bottles, glass jars. Maybe they also have plastic. I don't know. I think plastic new invention. But Hatoin es chavero kadei shemen. He says, you owe me 10 pitchers or barrels or jugs or bottles of oil. Shemen Zayas, right? The expensive one, not the one that you use to light your Shabbos candles, the one for cooking. Right? The guy says, the oil I don't owe you. But those bottles, yeah, I admit, I owe you the bottle. I owe those plastic bottles. I'm an Omer. It mixes a tiny Yeshavah. It says, Moda Mixas. We're going to learn Mesachas about Metzia. We had an early Mesachas Kesubos. On Daf It, the Gemara mentions the reason you swear for Moda Mixas. Someone makes a tiny, you owe me $100. They say, I only $50. So that's Moda Mixas a tiny. That's Shua Del Raisa. And the Torah says, take a Shua Del Raisa that you don't own the other 50. Right? The Gemara explained the reason on Daf It. I'm going to talk more about this in Iyon Ben Sion coming up. So, I'm an Omer Hol, the Hoda Mixas a tiny Yeshal. You have to Moda Mixas, right? He says you owe me oil with bottles. I only owe you bottles. So it's Moda Mixas. He says this is not really a case of motive mixas over here because two separate things. He's asking for bottles and for oil, or he's only admitting to the bottles. Leo again likes Admon saying, or Leo was wrong, I guess, Halakha in two cases over here. He says Halakha is like Admon, that it's Chayav Shua. We don't pass like that. The Gemara says Shmamina the Rabbanon. So it seems from the sheet of the Rabbanon we do pass like Taino Chitin with Soren, Mahod Besoren. Let's say I claim that a person owes me. I lent you barley and I lent you wheat, right? And he says, yes, the barley I did borrow from you, but I did not borrow wheat from you. Potter, do you have to take a shvu in that case? Is that called motive mixas, right? Because he's saying, he makes one claim. He says, you owe me, I lent you out barley and wheat. He says, yeah, wheat I deny. I don't remember getting wheat from you. Barley I did get. Is that considered motive mixas daina? So according to the Rabbanon, it seems you're potter. They would have it to you for the Rav Nachman or Mishmuel. That's our case, right? Shemen and Kankanim. The oil in the bottle are like chitin and saorin. So they would have it to you for the Rav Nachman or Mishmuel. The Rav Nachman or Mishmuel, Taino chitin and saorin, chayav. Shmuel says in that case, you're chayav. If he says that you're chayav chitin and saorin, you admit one of them, that's considered you're chayav in that case. So we don't like to say that Rabbanon are taking a position of one of the Amoraim. We want to answer for both of the Amoraim. So the Gemara says, Am Rav Yehuda Marab Betono Mida. Here we're talking about, our Mishnah is talking about, where he's saying an amount. He's saying, you owe me 10 gallons of shemen. That's why the Rabbanan say, over here you're potter, because he's not talking about the bottles at all. He's saying, you owe me 4 liters of shemen, so there's no mention of the bottles at all. So therefore, you're potter, because he says, you owe me 4 liters of shemen. He says, shemen I don't owe you. The bottles, you meant the bottles, but it wasn't part of the taina. So no one would say you're chayiv in that case. So where's the hakim by time of the Amr? If you're going to say that's what the case in the Mishnah, so why would Amr say you're chayiv shvua? Elam Rava kuli Amr ichad Amr le mali asara kadishem yishli v'borka. If a person says you owe me 10 amounts of jugs of oil that you have in your pit, your olive oil pit, shemen katan, like a kanim lo katan, like obviously he's after it's in the pit, so he's not talking about, he's not interested in the bottles, he's only demanding repayment of the shemen. Asara kaddish and malayim yeshli aschab. If a person says I lent you out or I gave you 10 full bottles of oil, shemen katan, then in that case he's definitely demanding, right, full bottles. He's demanding both the bottle and the crystal bottle and the oil. Just he didn't say kadim malayim. He just says 10 jars of oil, jugs of oil. He says when your person says asar kedei shemen, he's making a taina not just on oil but also on the bottles themselves. So therefore, his motive mixes a taina, and therefore Yechai Rabbanon Savri Ein B'Lashon Zeh Lashon Kakanim. When you say asar kadei shemen, you're only basically asking for the oil, not for the bottles. So therefore, everyone would agree that's not called motive mixes taina according to the Rabbanon. So the Gemara says, wait a second. Al time of Ein B'Lashon Zeh Lashon Kakanim. The reason the Chavim say in our Mishnah that you're pater from a shvua is because when you say kadei shemen, it's not mashma. It doesn't imply that you're asking, demanding the kankanim. If you were able to say that, it does imply that, like Admon, Chayev, Vichayev. So in Svar, in principle, if that's the reasoning of our Mishnah, so it should be a refutation of a different opinion. Potter. Right? He's the Mandamro argues on Shmuel. Shmuel says you're Chayev. Says you're Potter. So it's the Khan that Rabbanan are saying against the other Amora, Rabba. Amarav Simi Barashi Nasak Mishataino Rimon Biklipaso. So he tries to say this is not a case of Chita and Sar. Chita and Sar are two different things. Wheat and barley, two different species. Right? We learned Mseches Chala. We're learning Mishnah Yom. We just learned Mseches Chala. Chita and Sar are not mitzdarif when you want to have the share of Chala. Only Chita and Kusman are mitzdarif. So there are two different species over here. However, when you kankanim and shemen, the jugs hold the oil. It's like when you ask for a pomegranate, you're asking for the pomegranate and its peel also. The peel is inseparable from the pomegranate itself. Here also, the bottles are inseparable from the oil. So of course, right, Rimon B'Klipaso is one thing. So that's what it mixes a taina. Even Rav Rabba say Yechai. Master Ravina says you can't say that. Rimon B'Klipaso laminta, right? The peel is inseparable from the pomegranate because if you take off the peel of the pomegranate seeds, they go bad. Shemen minter below kankanim. Technically, if you pour the oil out of the bottles and you put it in something else, it would stay just as good as if it's in the bottles. So they are two separate things. Ella, how do you resolve for this opinion of Rabba? What's the machlokes in the Mishnah? The case that Admon and Chum are arguing, the Gemara says, is that he says you owe me 10 jugs of oil. The other person says, Shemen lo yadvar ma'olam. I never borrowed any oil from you. Kankanim nami. And even on your taina that you owe me the jars, right? Chamisha islach, the chamisha leislach, right? I only borrowed 5 from you. 5 I admit to you, 5 I don't admit to you. So what Admon says in the Mishnah, Yesh Lashon Zeh Lashon Kankanim. Right? When you say Asar Kedei Shemen, so it includes Shemen, it includes Kadim. So Kadim are included, the jars are included. On that, and therefore, on the kankanim, you have motive mixas, right? He says, I lent you 10 jars, and I only borrowed 5 jars. So there's motive mixas on the jars, and there's a concept of Gilgal Shvua. Once I'm already taking a Shvua on the jars, so therefore, he also demands the oil, so I can force him to take a Shvua on the Shemen also. Al Yidei Gilgal. They say, no, when a person says, Asar Kedei Shemen, it doesn't imply kankanim. The reason the Chum say your potter, he does demand 5. He demands 10 kankanim, and he admits the 5 kankanim. The problem is that according to Rabbanan, when I say Asar Kedei Shemen, I don't mean to be towing to demand back repayment of the jars. So even though there's mono mixes in the jars, but the jars is irrelevant over here. That's not what I was demanding over here. So I was demanding that, so therefore it's not comparable to the case of chitim and soren. With chitim and soren, I say, give me back barley and wheat, and he says, barley I have, wheat I don't have. So therefore, right, that's all one big tie. On half of the time he admitted, half he didn't. But here, according to our explanation, the Rabbanan over here, is that they hold kankanim are not implied by kadesh shemen. So therefore, even though it's monosis on the kadim, that wasn't what he was. He was only asking for the shemen, and you did monosis on kankanim, so it's not relevant to the machlokas. Taino chitim za'orin, hold of za'orin. So therefore, it's not a refutation of either opinion. That's the conclusion of today's shir. Stay tuned for my explanation of the machlokas between Shmuel and Rav Chia bar Abba. It's a famous machlokas in Shas. Taino chitim za'orin, hodol ba'echamet. Shmuel says you're chayiv, Rav Chia bar Abba says you're potter. What's the machlokas? We pass like Shmuel, and I explain the concept of the svara of the shvu of modim and mixas and how it's relevant and plays out in this machlokas. Amoraim. See you in Yud Ben Sion coming up.